It's a great fucking morning. You say so. Not just me, man. I mean, if Mama was still alive, she'd say the same thing. I mean, we're all so fucking proud of you. You finally made it. Fuck college, fuck the pros. He's a security guard. It all fucking makes sense to me now. All this time, people been telling me Tom Shepard is so fucking raw. Too bad he started tripping when his friend died. He got all the fucking talent with no heart. Sit here thinking, my brother can't be this fucking weak. But you ain't weak. Shit, you keeping our high school safe.
When did it start? Double Life started when I was a teenager, a young teenager. Yeah, because I was playing basketball and I was involved in life of crime. I could have became a professional player right when I left high school, but I didn't. I had Division I offers, but I went to a Division III school, Norfolk State. And at Norfolk State, the first year I played, I broke every record that a four-year player could break. I was that guy living that double life. You're supposed to be a student in school, and I was a student in school, but I just was a young criminal mastermind and had enough sense to understand how to crack that code, and that's what Pee Wee Kirkland did.
A guy named Brock Young, he played at, he went to Barton High School, went to ECU. He used to be the king, and I was the prince of the city at the time. Like, he had everything. I seen him score 50 in 8th grade. I'm like, yo, he gotta make it. So when he went to ECU, I'm like, he got a chance to make it to the league, like 5'10", but if you ask anybody, he's a Raleigh legend, and somebody's always gonna talk about him. So like, for me not to say never make it was tough, but me and him are still cool, still work out together, still hang out, but he was one of those guys that if you seen him play, you're like, whoa, I'll give him his respect.
You know, when he come to Philadelphia, the number one person that's really gonna come up majority all the time is going to be Sadar Watson for sure. You know, he was a playground legend that could have easily played in the NBA. He was that talented where though he could have played in the NBA. For whatever reason, he didn't take that route. He didn't go play in the NBA. But for sure, if anybody to think about us, he's definitely the number one person to come up to the beach and come to as far as basketball players coming up as young kids.
We actually got a football player. His name was Evan Rodriguez, he's actually here today. You know, who's had some pro opportunities and, you know, made the most of his career, but was just cut short. But, you know, he was there and was able to tell his story, and he runs also a clinic here in town for the kids. He's able to give back too. So, you know, you say that name around here and that's pretty big time, and he was even big in my success too. So, you know, we thank Evan a lot.
I say my man Pac-Man. He from my neighborhood.
Cam B-Shot, he committed to Notre Dame. He played there for a year, and then he transferred to Mizzou. And I mean, it's a sad story because Cam was like a big buddy. I looked up to him. He was like 3-4 years older than me. And, you know, I wanted to be like him. Got it wrong with the wrong people. He was 6'7", smooth to shoot. Definitely should have been in the league, but you know, shit happened.
His father grew up fatherless. The playground's his only release. But they also paved the way to drugs and jail. College didn't last a year, and a tryout with the Utah Stars of the old ABA was a similar failure. Somewhere along the way to mortality, the GOAT came face to face with himself, and in 1976, after coming clean, he began to give back, right there at his own Upper West Side playground, appropriately called Goat Park.
But he was into getting money, and like I felt like because he had such a long wingspan, he was tall. I feel like he really could have made it. Like if he would have focused, you know what I mean? Like if he could have focused, he could have made it. But he ended up getting caught up in the streets. He ended up doing a bid for like 6 or 7 years. You know what I mean? Like he ended up doing some positive things once he came home. Like he opened up his own like juice bar in the neighborhood and all that. But I felt like if Pac-Man would have really like focused and locked in, he could have made it. But he was into getting money.
Yeah. Well, Greg Jones, he was from my neighborhood, man, and he was a really, really good basketball player. You know what I mean? He went to West Virginia. I think he got blackballed. You know what I mean? I think he's supposed to have been in the NBA. Also, man, Andre Hall was another guy that played basketball in my neighborhood. He was another guy that I think could have went and like really was really, really good. And I think it's just the structure on a lot of us that could do what they do on the court that just ain't had that push, that father figure or that big homie to say, hey, this is what you need to be doing.
A local high school basketball player with the hope of going pro and the talent to make it happen has been gunned down on the streets of Baltimore. 17-year-old John Crowder was shot and killed early this morning near his home in East Baltimore. ABC 2 News' Christian Schaefer spoke with members of his family tonight. Chris?
Kelly, one of John Crowder's coaches told me that at least 7 coaches from Division I basketball programs around the country called him today to offer their condolences. They'd been in contact with him for the past several years because John Crowder was one of the best high school basketball players in the country. Now he's the latest victim of gun violence in Baltimore City.
Yeah, John Crowder was my young boy, so anytime I hear that name, it's sad for me because the day he got killed, the day he got murdered, I had just seen him, like probably an hour or two before. He was all downtown. We was driving, my homeboy driving on the passenger seat, he saw us, pulled up and was like, Will, where you going? And we just talked for a little minute, and he went about his way and I went about mine because he couldn't hang with me. He was younger than me for real, so. And then I remember getting the car and I seen him, but like 2 hours later, he just got murdered. So it kind of messed me up. I'm like, damn, I just seen him. We were just talking. I knew him since he was a kid. Like, I was somebody I was looking up to. I remember when he had passed, somebody brought a survey to me and asked him, they had asked him, like, write down the top 3 players you ever played with, and he put me on that list. And that always stuck with me. Like, man, my little man ain't even here anymore. He had a bright future.
My man, Jason Muscari. I mean, he was right there in the NBA. I mean, he can still to this day, he's still playing. And if you do a lot of history of his basketball skills, and you'll see a lot of the things that these kids are doing on the court today. Like even the way that I dribble, I can't handle the ball similar to the way he does. And like I said, a lot of the kids you see out there playing today, he definitely inspired a lot of them, including myself.
How disappointed are you in yourself? You talked pretty eloquently up there about how much you let down your family and your friends. Talk to me about that.
Very disappointed. I should be. That's not me. But you know, you make mistakes, and I'm confident that I'll be back stronger and show the people that I'm a good guy.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Probably one of the best high school linebackers I've ever seen play in my life, and I've seen a lot of people. 200 tackles his junior year, 200 tackles plus in a season. His senior year, he had Oregon, Cal, Florida State. He was going to go to Florida State. But it was crazy. His senior year, after the season, he just stopped going to school and he was just in the streets. And I'm talking about I've never seen it, and I train professional athletes. Where he was at in high school level, he was better than most all-pro linebackers. I mean, the dude was 6 foot 245 and running 4.5 in high school, bench 400 pounds. But, you know, he was too busy getting to the money, and he ended up doing 6.5 years in prison.
Plenty of guys I grew up that beat me up, you know what I'm saying, that were really good high school basketball players that never made it, you know, streets, drugs, whatever the case may be. You know, those stories are, there's a lot of them, so.
Shoe Jordan was a really good kid. We all know, you know, the talent that he had on the basketball court, but, you know, he was just a product of his environment. He got caught up with the things that was going on in the neighborhood. Whether he did it or not, I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't, you know, speak on that, but he's a kid that, you know, that had 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You know, he was a kid that stayed true to his environment, to his neighborhood.
I knew to an extent. I knew, like, I mean, he come from that club, he come from them type of neighborhood. You never know how deep, because like I said, I'm older than him. I'm doing my own thing, trying to make my way. So I wasn't in the city as much anymore. I was going to college or something like that. So I wasn't being able to be around him as much to know what you hear things, but you know, until it happened, it's like, man, he really was into some, you know what I mean?
It's like I went to school with Victor Page, you know what I mean? And we was incarcerated together as youth, all that. And I don't really put people like business out there, but it's like when you get a chance to go to college, a lot of people don't get a chance to go to college, especially with the education that we're being taught in our city. You know what I mean? So once Vic was able to go to college, I was like, damn, how you get to go to college? I'm like, damn, dog, like we was in the same situation. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know, we supported him and we pushed every day we could push for him.
If you're new to the D.C. area, you might not recognize the name Victor Page. He was a big deal in Georgetown basketball back in the late 1990s. Now he'll likely spend the next 20 years of his life in prison for attacking a 17-year-old girl. This happened last December, and it was caught on surveillance video. Page was facing life in prison for sexual assault, but the Prince George's County State's Attorney's Office told us just today he's agreed to a plea deal that would put him behind bars for the next 2 decades. This won't be his first time in prison. Victor Page was sentenced to 10 years in prison for second-degree sexual assault back in 2013. He was released early. I wrote an ebook about Victor Page. It's called All or Nothing, The Victor Page Story. His has been a troubled and incredible story almost from the beginning. Victor was going to land in the NBA, make millions of dollars, or so most of us thought, or he was going to end up on the streets, strung out in the end, like his mom and dad and so many of his friends.
You know, so see me out now, trying to pick up the pieces. You know what I mean? Because like once you get caught in the system, it's made for you to go back. It's tough because you got to put in your resume if you ever been a felon or whatever. So your options of what you can do is limited. You got to really be laser focused to stay out of prison.
Yeah, school's already recruiting. John been good since 5th, 4th grade. Like everybody knew who Big John was. Everybody knew who Big John was. So I mean, like I said, he had a real bright future. Everybody knew he was at least going how big D1 at the minimum. A real bright future. It's just sad to see.
Stephen and I have talked about this on the air, and I've brought up the point. Like, we get paid to do this for a living. Does not matter how much work you put in, how much you're also lucky. We're lucky to be in this position.